This program brought to you by the Arts and Communications Academy at Lansdowne High School. It's the Lansdowne Show.
Welcome to Season 6, Episode 2. Do me a favor and say now for your next segment.
Now for your next segment.
I'm gonna munch. I'm gonna crunch. Thanksgiving! Thanksgiving! Ah!
Did you see the piece of plastic?
No. It's just, today is November 1st, and yesterday was Halloween, and I just saw a Christmas commercial. I like food. I like Thanksgiving. I like food. I don't like people, but I like food and the parade and food. I'm mad that there's Christmas stuff right now because it's November. We do that. We didn't do Halloween stuff in January, did we? No, we didn't. So why are you doing that? That doesn't make sense to me at all. The Pilgrims do not want to be treated like this. The Pilgrims are feeling like they are being prejudiced because they're Pilgrims. I mean, turkeys must just want to die. No.
Nobody gets harmed in Christmas, though.
Christmas, my heart gets harmed because I don't get nothing. Stop doing these Christmas things in November. No such thing as a Christmas dinner. There's no significant food that, you know, we look forward to, except nothing. Just about spending your money and stuff. You ain't even, Jesus wasn't even born in Christmas. He was born in March. He's a Pisces. Why do you not know these things? Let November live. Let it breathe. Christmas ain't that special when you're old. If you're a baby, you can look forward to Christmas. You can be like, oh, yay, happy Halloween. Time to open them presents. But I'm old, so I don't get nothing. Give November, it's month. because we don't do that to anyone else. Think about it. In February, it's Valentine's Day. Very important. But do we do all the Valentine's stuff in December? No, because that's not nice. So let the turkey have his turkey day. Let it die in peace, you know, because, yeah.
Now for your next segment.
Basic was getting everything prepared beforehand so that you're already set up when it comes time to cook. So it makes everything faster.
Dough ready to go. It's all mixed up and there's no dry ingredients in there. Everything's mixed properly, well mixed, and there's no flour that you can see, and everything's mixed together well. You're going to grab a plastic wrap. And this thing's hard to use, so if you need help, come and get a teacher. Don't just start ripping it apart. What you need to do, you need to cut it with this metal piece. So that was just flipped over, so you've got to pay attention to that. You're going to grab a piece, place this underneath until you need it, and then you're going to cut it using the metal piece that's on here for the plastic wrap. Then we're going to tightly put the plastic wrap around. You're going to label it with the color of your kitchen. So I'm going to pretend like I'm the yellow kitchen. I'm going to write yellow on it. I'm going to take it, place the dough into the refrigerator for 20 minutes. It's going to go inside the refrigerator. Now, this is the time when, while you're waiting, put your timer on your stove for 20 minutes. You're going to go into your kitchen, clean all of your stuff up, start your, preheat your oven, make sure that's preheated beforehand while you're waiting for 20 minutes, clean all of your equipment up, have it nice and clean, and look at your steps for the next part to have that ready to go so you can go quickly. You're going to have 2 cookie sheets and 2 pieces of parchment paper. You should have 9 cookies on each parchment paper. Roll them, place them on there, and then once you have 9, you can place them in the oven. Students didn't read each direction and they didn't roll it in the cinnamon and sugar, and now their dough is mixed in cinnamon and sugar, so it's a little different. This is not the way it should look beforehand. 5 to 7 first. And then we'll check them at 7, and if 7's not enough, then we'll do 8. Because it's easier to put more time on, but once you put too much time on, you can't go backwards. Alright, while students are waiting for their cookies to finish, they're going to clean everything up and have the kitchens ready to go, so all they have to do is eat, basically. Because the parchment paper, if they use the parchment paper like they're supposed to on the cookie sheets, they don't have to clean the cookie sheets, they can just let it cool down and then put it away. And then we're gonna spray down the counters, wipe everything down. Since we use, and we're gonna need to sweep, which our brooms are over by the aprons. You can see. And we are going to make sure we dry and put all dishes away, and that we rinse and clean out our sinks before leaving. Part of your grade is for safety and sanitation. So it's not sanitary to leave water or food out, and that is part of your grade. So if you choose to leave a messy kitchen, you will have to get points taken off. If it continues more than once, then you don't get to cook the following recipe. Thank you.
When leaving stuff over, when you already used it, it could like lead to salmonella poisoning, and so you would want to get rid of it right after.
Yeah, I can't eat food for like a couple minutes or hours.
Very good. You can see how it's perfectly done. The bottom is not burnt, and it's perfectly done.
I going to the next segment, you know, just chilling.
Weather in Maryland has it all, from severe storms to tropical storms and hurricanes to snowstorms, winter storms, ice storms. This state has a garden variety of different weather occurrences. And what comes with it is a lot of rainfall and precipitation. In this video, we are going to be looking at the absurd amount of rainfall that has fallen this year already, and especially in the past 3 months. The first 3 months of the year, we had an estimated total of 4.82 inches. Our average rainfall at that time would be 10.42 inches. That's a 5.6 inch deficit. This trend of below average rainfall continued into April, where we got a little over 3 inches of rain. However, May totally wiped out that deficit with a little over 8 inches of rain. June followed up with roughly half that amount. July was the wettest month of the entire year by far. At the airport, they recorded nearly 17 inches of rain. August paled in comparison with a little less than 4 inches. September did have some significant rainfall, but it was only roughly half of the rainfall in July. Also keep this in mind, a little over half of that rainfall in July came in the second half of the month. So really after the second week, the rain just kept falling and falling and falling. After the average temperature the first 2 weeks of July was 91 degrees, and it got as hot as 99. You might be asking, what is causing all of this significant extreme weather phenomenon and weather events to happen? Global warming. It's not only impacting us, but it's impacting the entire country as well. Global warming is to blame for all of this. Global temperature rising leads to more extreme weather events, either contributing with really warm weather or really cold weather. And that's a big issue around here, and especially around the world as well. What time is it?
8:29.
No, it's time for your next segment.
What time it is?
You just smack a camera.
It's time for your next segment.
You ever heard of paring an apple or peeling an apple? Okay, well, that's very much like what this skill is about. Paring is taking and kind of like shaving away the material. So what happens here, now at this point you want to go ahead and clamp your material down. Next I'm going to go to this side of it because I'm right-handed. Now, when there's all this is separated in these little sections here, it becomes real easy to remove this material. One thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to change my direction of my chisel to the beveled edge down. Remember, it's got that beveled edge and it's got that flat edge. I'm going to have that beveled edge down, and I'm going to start tapping away at that material. It comes out real easily because it's already separated. And as I'm going along, I'm going to also kind of peel things, this is the paring part of it, more or less shaving the material out. Okay, and what I want to wind up with eventually is this whole area smooth. Basically nice and flat and recessed about 1/8 of an inch, or the thickness of a hinge, so that the hinge can be recessed.
What time is it?
No.
It's time for your next segment.
Now for your next segment.
Testing the step ladders today. Testing the ladders or testing yourselves?
Testing on the step ladders, and then we're doing both.
Both. Nice. What class is this?
It's electric.
What level?
It's the first year.
Electric 1?
Yep.
They got to climb every single ladder?
Yep.
How do you get an A?
If you don't kick off, and you need to be on the center.
What are you doing there before you go up the ladder?
Just making sure that all of the spreaders are intact, are fully down, and all of it's stable enough so that if I move up, then I won't have any lift-offs.
So why did you do the ladder test?
I did the ladder test to learn if I was climbing a ladder correctly, like throughout your career, and just so you're doing it safe. It teaches you how to do safe ladder climbing and training.
Mm-hmm. What is this class, and what are the benefits of taking it?
This class is electrical careers. Benefits of taking it, it'll give you a job out of high school, and taking it through high school, it gives you your apprenticeship 1 throughout the 2 years that you take it, which puts you off to a good start and a job right out of high school.
What's up, man? Gotta be safe. Gotta be safe out here. You know what I'm saying?
Alright, come on, grab it, man.
Yeah, this is intermediate art with Mr. Gauger, and right now we're doing critiques and drawing.
So what we did was we had to pass them around and pass our artwork around, and then we had to vote based off these, what you like and what you suggest, and just based off that on what you can work better on doing.
My name is Leonard Howard, and I got a couple of things to show you. This right here is the directions for the turn-in and reflection art station right here. What is this about? You go to your laptop and you click on whatever assignment that is due, and then you turn it into your teacher. But then also you can put it in your close class album where everyone else can see your artwork and comment on it.
Now for your next segment.
We're gonna get stickers as we of course meet little needs. You know, we're gonna go stick. They go on the note pages. When everyone is done, we've got a note page at the end where everyone's going to cut and sort a summary of everything they should have gotten, and they're going to organize it onto their note page and get a teacher check to glue it in, of course. And then so that way they have their personal notes, but if anything is missing in the personal notes, they will have it in the overview. And then they can use all of this information to answer the questions. Very exciting.
Writing notes.
Writing notes for what? Do you not know what you're doing?
No. Chemistry. Sure.
That's a great answer.
It is a great answer.
We'll read to you. You want to figure that out? It reads to you.
Burning a strip of magnesium metal is an exothermic reaction. As the reactants change into products, there is a decrease in enthalpy as energy is released. This change in enthalpy is the heat of reaction.
Your ESOL class?
I love my ESOL class.
Why?
Because I learning a lot, and also I got a lot of friends in there. So.
What ideas do you have to learn more in class? Learning individual with a teacher, working in group activities, or staying after school with your ESOL teacher to get extra help?
Well, I choose working individual with the teachers and working with it in a group. It's best way for me to learn English, and I can understand where I still have to improve my English.
What is the percentage of ESOL students having good grades?
Having good grades? Right now, I'd say probably 60%, but it's not the end of the quarter yet.
Is it difficult for you to teach a student who does not know any English?
I think it's challenging, but it's difficult in some ways, but it's a challenge that I like, and once you learn strategies to teach them, then it just becomes part of how you teach, just a natural part of how you teach, and each day is not difficult. You just might meet different challenges along the way that you haven't learned how to tackle yet and how to help that kid, but you figure it out and you keep moving.
June 29, 2012. The day that will go down in Maryland weather history as one of the worst severe weather events in recent memory. A line of storms moved its way from the Midwest through the Ohio Valley into the Appalachians and eventually into the Mid-Atlantic over a span of 12 hours, leaving in its wake a lot of destruction, chaos, and problems. June 29th started out very hot. Temperatures were in the upper 70s to around 80 just before 7 a.m., but before 10 a.m., the temperatures were already close to the mid-90s. We ended up with a high of 103 degrees, which was just 2 degrees off the record for that day. Us here in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and the entire Mid-Atlantic region were the only ones dealing with this heat. A lot of places in the southern and eastern half of the country dealt with this heat as well. Nashville got to 109 degrees. St. Louis got to 106. Kansas City got to 102. Raleigh, North Carolina got to 105 degrees. This heat was a key component for the thunderstorm's development, which later on progressed and turned it into what it was. So how did this all start out? Not necessarily what you think. It was first a cluster of storms over in eastern Iowa. It ramped up to a small line once it got to Illinois and Chicagoland. But once it got to northeast Indiana, over towards Fort Wayne, and started crossing into Ohio, that's when things really started to ramp up. Toledo, Columbus, and Cleveland all got hit, but Columbus got hit especially hard because they were right in the middle of the storm's path. This storm went on past Ohio into West Virginia, and there was some thought between West Virginia and Maryland that possibly the Appalachian Mountains could break the stuff up. It did for a little bit, but once it got over the Appalachians, it revamped, and it came right at the worst time, right over Baltimore and Washington, D.C., as we got towards 10:30, 11:30 p.m. That's when the worst of the weather was, and it was right on top of us. It then progressed onto the eastern shore, into Delaware, then off the Atlantic coast. It also impacted New Jersey and portions of Virginia as well. The main factor with this severe thunderstorm complex, damaging winds. BWI was case in point. You look at 10:54 p.m., winds were essentially calm. 5 miles per hour sustained, no gusts. 11:05 p.m., a little over 10 minutes later, you had 37 sustained with 66 miles per hour. And this was before the storm got there. By 11:20, winds were at 38 sustained, 55 miles per hour. And at 11:28, winds were still 23 sustained, but gusting to 51. You look at other peak wind gusts locally, Dulles got 71 miles per hour. Reagan National Airport got 70 miles per hour. Rockville, Maryland had 65 mile per hour wind gusts. St. Pleasant, Maryland, over in Prince George's County, had wind gusts of 76 miles per hour. Swan Point, Maryland, got wind gusts of 77 miles per hour. By the way, that's down in Charles County. Fredericksburg, Virginia, had a wind gust of 80 miles per hour. You also look at nationally what it did. Columbus, Ohio, had a 72 mile per hour wind gust, and the highest wind gust recorded with this storm, I believe, was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where they had a 91 mile per hour wind gust. And if you have any idea what those types of winds can do, those can knock roofs off of houses, that can knock down trees, which can lead to power outages, and that's why this storm was so significant. Those damaging winds were the main killer in all of these storms. In its wake, the storm killed 22 people, 2 here in the state of Maryland. It left over 9 million people across the entire country and the entire path of the storm without power. And in all, thousands of wind damage reports, which is absolutely astonishing. This was a lesson for all of us, to never underestimate the weather, especially when the environment was as volatile as that day. Luckily for us, we don't get derechos in these types of storms that often. They only happen every 2 to 4 years, but we need to be prepared for the next one when it strikes.